Welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Reardon and today I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful, whimsical, topsy-turvy pretty cake. You could use this for a first birthday or really any celebration. It is so cute and pretty and it's not that hard to make. I'll walk you through it. Now, I've just got back from a trip to the USA. We had a great time. I of course filmed with the Minions and also got to just relax with my family, which was awesome. And one of my highlights was definitely meeting some of you, my subscribers, at the meet and greet. Now, I know registrations for this event just filled up so fast and they had to close it because it reached capacity. So some of you missed out. I'm really sorry about that, but I will be flying back to the US for VidCon, which is not very far away. So you have the chance to come and meet me there. I'm actually going to be on the Makers and Bakers booth, which is by Wilton, Simplicity and my network Kin. And I'll be there for a short amount of time on the Friday and the Saturday. And I have some gift packs to give out to you. So I have 50 gift packs for the Friday and 50 for the Saturday. So the first 50 people on each day will get a free gift pack. You can come beyond that and say hi, but I've only got 50 packs to give away. So I'll put the times of when I'll be on that booth in the description below. And what you should do is probably get there a bit early and queue just to make sure you're in the first 50. So what's in the gift packs? That's what you want to know. We have some silver pearl dust, and I used dusts before, so you should be familiar with what that is. Some cake spikes, and they're what allow you to put the fresh flowers into a cake and gives them a bit of water so they stay fresh. I'll show you that in a minute. This 3D cupcake mold, which is what we're using for the cupcake on the top of the cake today. And a couple of new products. We've got Treatology, which is basically 8 different flavours that you can add to cake mixture or frostings to change the flavour of your cakes. And also Colorite, which is very similar, but it's not flavours, it's colours, and we've got 8 different colours there, and I'll show you more about those in a minute. As I said, I've used all of those in this cake today. Well, not all 8 flavours because that would be a bit weird, but some of each of them. So what you need to do if you want one of these free packs is come see me at VidCon. I'll put the times below. Now, I know some of you have probably already written a comment going, I don't live in LA and I'm not going to be at VidCon. Don't worry, I'll also give a couple of these packs away over on Facebook as well on the How to Cook That page. So just make sure you're following me there. I'll put that comp up in about a week's time. So let's make the cake. First level we're going to make is of course the bottom. We're going to make the tiramisu layer and then we'll work our way up to the top. For the first 2 layers of cake, we're going to need 1 quantity of my perfect sponge cake recipe. If you haven't made that one before, there's a video and the recipe for it on the howtocookthat.net website. It makes a really nice, light, fluffy cake. Bake that in 2 tins, one that is 20 centimetres or 8 inches and one that is 15 centimetres or 6 inches. Once they're done, they should spring back when they're lightly touched, or you can double check if they're cooked by putting a knife into the cake. If it comes out clean, then they're ready. To hold the cake in a topsy-turvy style, we're going to need some sort of support. I'm going to use bamboo rods and some round cake boards, and I'm just drilling a hole that is slightly smaller than the bamboo rod into the cake boards, and you want it slightly smaller so that it fits really tightly. So see how the rod is just staying upright here? If you had your hole too big, it would just fall over. We also need a support for the piece of cake, so you need to cut one of those from a 6-inch round cake board. Just measure 12 centimetres in from the edge and then draw 2 straight lines so you can make the slice as fat or as skinny as you like. And you'll also need to drill a hole in the centre of that one too. Make sure your bamboo stick can go through the holes because we're going to be putting the cake onto those second 2 cake boards and then putting the cake onto the bamboo spike. So if they don't fit, it's going to be a little difficult to get it on once you've got the cake there. Now we want to stop the cakes from slipping all the way down to the bottom. So I'm going to add a plastic support rod over the top of the bamboo one and just trim it on an angle at the level where I want that second layer to sit. Now for our tiramisu, we want some coffee syrup. For that, you'll need some instant coffee, sugar and water. And all of the recipe quantities you need for this and everything else that is in this video for this cake are on the howtocookthat.net website, and I'll link to that in the description below. Combine all of those ingredients in a cup and microwave it until the sugar is dissolved and then just let it cool. For our tiramisu frosting, we're using a mascarpone cheese, cream and sugar. Just place them all into a bowl and whip them together until it's smooth. Cut your 8-inch cake into 2 even layers and then use some of the frosting to secure it onto the board. Add a generous amount of coffee syrup. Now I could have added heaps more here. It just depends on how strong a coffee flavour you want yours to be. And then add a layer of your mascarpone frosting. Place the other half of the cake on top and then cover that whole thing with the frosting. Place the bamboo stick through the middle from the bottom of the cake board, and then I like to put the whole thing on a plate to make it easier to move it around. Add the sponge finger biscuits all the way around the outside of the cake, and then use a ribbon to secure them into place. Try and choose a ribbon here that matches the colours in your flowers so it just brings the whole cake together. Place the plastic support tube that we cut earlier down over the top of the bamboo stick through the cake all the way to the cake board. Now for our second layer of cake, we're going to have a salted caramel ganache. To make that you'll need white chocolate, cream, butter, and some vanilla custard and salted caramel flavouring. Now all of the recipe quantities for this are on the howtocookthat.net website as well. Add the cream and butter to the chocolate and then microwave that on high for 30 seconds. Then give it a good stir. Now microwaves heat unevenly, so it is important to stir. Give it another 20 seconds in the microwave and it still has a few more lumps there, so just another 10 seconds should do it. Yep, that looks nice and smooth, that looks good. Now add your salted caramel and vanilla custard flavouring to taste. Now these are really concentrated so you won't need much. Just add a couple of drops at a time, then taste it and keep going until you're happy with it. Then put all of that in the fridge to firm up. Once it's firm, make one batch of basic buttercream and mix in the cooled ganache. This makes a really yummy, creamy salted caramel frosting. For the macarons, follow the macaron recipe video and you want to make 3 colours. Pipe them onto some non-stick baking paper, and to get them all the same size it really helps to print a sheet of circles, and I'll put the circles in the size that I've used for this one on the recipe post for you. They're a lot smaller than I'd normally make macarons, but I just want to be able to fit 3 of the little macarons up the side of the cake. Place some of your ganache frosting onto the 6-inch board to stop your cake from slipping off when it's on an angle, and then add 1/3 of your 6-inch cake. Add a layer of the frosting we just made, the middle part of the cake, then more frosting, and the top part of the cake. Now we want to colour the rest of that frosting, and to get the colour I want, I'm using some red, some pink, and a tiny bit of blue. Now these colours are really strong, so just add a little bit at a time, especially with the darker colours like the blue. Place that into a piping bag fitted with a wide tip and pipe it all over the cake. If you don't have one of these tips, you can just spread it out using a spatula, but piping it on like this just makes that process much quicker. Then take a spatula and smooth out the sides, and if you place your cake board onto a bowl, it just lifts it up off the counter so you can easily get to all of the edges and smooth it out. Once it's ready, measure the width from the centre of the cake to the edge and mark off where that is on the bigger cake. Push one of the plastic supports into the cake and mark off what level that is at. Remove it and trim it to size. Then add an end cap to it and place it back into the cake. And this will just support the side of the cake where it's leaning down to the bottom so that it's not going to squash the bottom layer of cake. Add the cake on top, lowering it down on an angle. Then add your macarons in 3 rows to the side of the cake and add raspberries to the bottom layer just around the edge and on the side that's visible. Now to make our slice of cake, you will need 1 20cm round chocolate cake. Cut a slice from the centre of the cake and then cut another slice using 2 edge pieces to make that bit. Place some frosting on the cake board, then add your half a bit, add frosting to the edge of that and join the next piece to it to make that complete base piece. Then add some more frosting and add the top half of your slice. Now you want to cover the whole thing in frosting and smooth it out as best as you can, and then place it onto a plate and into the fridge to firm up. Colour half of your white fondant using some yellow and some brown colouring to give it a sponge cake colour. Roll it out and then place the cake slice on top. Fold the fondant up and over the side of the cake and then trim off the excess. Just let it overlap the sides slightly so that you've got something to join the next piece of fondant to. And do the same thing on the top and the bottom. Just smooth the excess down into the frosting so that it sits nice and flat so you don't get a line or a bump there. Add more brown to the fondant and use that brown colour fondant on the base just to hide the cake board. Use your finger to find where the hole is in the cake board and mark that with a knife to make it easy when we're adding it. Then roll out your white fondant and place it over the top and down the back of the slice. Use your knife to gently cut off the excess so it looks like just your frosting over the top of the cake. Place the slice onto its side and mark 2 lines using a knife. Now you don't want to cut through the fondant, you just want to indent it. Then use the tip of your knife to drag down some of that white along those 2 lines. Add your plastic support spacer and then lower the cake slice into place on a slight backward angle this time. Using a clean paintbrush and some food colouring, paint lines across the layers of the cake so it looks like some frosting in there. And then use some red colour and paint just underneath it so it looks like some jam. And it just makes the colours really pop. You can paint it down a little bit like it's dripping so it looks more real. To make the cupcake on top, melt some candy melts, or you could use chocolate, and put some into the bottom of the mould. Now you don't want it full because we're going to push the second part on top, but it's a bit hard to guess exactly how much you need. About 2/3 should be okay. We only need 1, but I'm going to make all 3 so we can choose the best one. Place the other half of the mould over the top and push it down firmly on the joiners just to secure it together, and turn it upside down and leave that to set. If you're using melts, you can just set that in the freezer. Once it's set, separate the mould and it should just lift off quite easily. Use a hot knife to trim off the excess from around the tops, and then use a round piping tip to make a hole in the base, and you can heat this up using either hot water or a brûlée torch to make it easy for it to melt through there. Dip your plastic support into some melted candy melts and then add that through the hole. Decide if you want it straight up or on a slight angle and then leave it to set. In the same way, use some melts to add your cherry on top, and I'm just using a real cherry for this one. Tip the base the right way up and fill it with candies, and then use more of the melts around the top edge to attach the lid. Once that is set, use some of the silver pearl dust and a dry paintbrush to brush over the base, and this just gives it a nice silvery shine and makes it look pretty. Add the cupcake down into the top and then turn it until it's an angle that you're happy with. Now to add our flowers. We're going to use these cake spikes, and they hold some water in them to keep the flowers fresh, and then they have the silicone top to keep the flowers in place but also to stop the water from leaking. Arrange the flowers into little bunches and then just push the spike right into the cake. Continue to add a few bunches on each level until you're happy with it. And there you have it, an amazing topsy-turvy pretty cake finished off with the fresh flowers, which is just a really easy way to finish off the cake. Now don't forget, if you're at VidCon, I'll be there too, so come and say hi at the Makers and Bakers booth, and for the times, check the description below or the recipe post for this week. I'll put the times that I'll be there then. And if you're one of the first 50 there, you get one of those packs, so make sure you come early and queue up to make sure that you get one of those and you don't miss out. Don't forget, if you're not at VidCon, I'll also be giving some away over on Facebook in about a week's time, so make sure you are following over there too. Subscribe to How to Cook That for more cakes, chocolates and desserts. Click here for last week's recipe. Click up the top for the recipe website, howtocookthat.net, so you can get all of the details you need for this one, and here for the YouTube channel so that you can check out all of my other videos. Have a great week, and I'll see you all on Friday.